What's the saying? Every time a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin.
And the world holds its breath.
We have heard this line 1,000 times. We heard it from Cersei Lannister. We saw it play out in the burning eyes of Aerys, the Mad King. And we saw it in the ashes of King's Landing, when Daenerys finally broke the wheel by crushing everyone underneath it. Greatness or madness?
Mind your tongue, boy.
Those are the two sides of the Valyrian coin. But what if the saying is wrong, or at the very least, incomplete? Because right now, we are watching a show that feels different. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is smaller, it's dirtier, it smells of horse manure and rain-soaked wool rather than brimstone. And sitting at the center of this story is a man who defies the binary logic of his house. If you are watching the show, you know him as the calm, dark-haired Hand of the King who treats a Hedge Knight with more respect than his own nephews do. If you've read the books, you know him as the tragedy that haunts the next 100 years of Westerosi history. In this essay, we are going to do something the histories of Westeros rarely do. We are going to put Baelor Targaryen on trial. Not for a crime, but for a contradiction. We are going to argue that Baelor Breakspear is the single greatest anomaly in the entire Targaryen dynasty. Baelor Targaryen is not a dragon, not in spirit. When you strip away the heraldry and the name, Baelor Breakspear exhibits a value system that is entirely alien to the Red Keep. He possesses a code of honor, a sense of personal responsibility, and a style of leadership that we have only seen in one other family in this universe. Baelor Targaryen is a Stark. To understand why Baelor is such a glitch in the Targaryen matrix, we first have to establish the baseline Targaryen. From Game of Thrones to House of the Dragon, the visual language of a Targaryen is distance. They are closer to gods than to men. Think of Daemon Targaryen landing Caraxes on the stepstones. He doesn't care about the collateral damage, he cares about the legacy. Think of Rhaenyra looking at the Iron Throne as a birthright. Even the good ones, like Aegon the Conqueror or Jaehaerys, operated from a position of Valyrian exceptionalism. They rule because they are the doctrine. They are the fire made flesh. Their morality is usually subjective. I can do this because I am the blood of the dragon. And then we have the antagonists of our current story, Aerion Brightflame. In episode 1, we see the perfect distillation of the toxic Targaryen. Aerion destroys a puppet show because he believes it mocks him. He breaks a girl's fingers. Why? Because he believes the dragon is a god, and he is the dragon in human form. This is the baseline madness we expect. It's Joffrey with a flamethrower. Now look at Baelor. During the pivotal conversation where the fate of Sir Duncan is decided, Baelor says something that should stop us in our tracks.
One truth is beyond dispute. You laid hands upon the blood of the dragon, but I cannot deny him a trial.
He is the Hand of the King. He is the Crown Prince. He could deny anyone anything. Tywin Lannister would have executed Dunk and slept soundly. Otto Hightower would have used Dunk as a pawn. Baelor is bound by something else. He is bound by an abstract concept of fairness that supersedes his own family's supremacy. This is the first crack in the facade. This is the first sign that we are dealing with a northern soul. Let's look at the comparisons. In Game of Thrones, who is the gold standard for honorable stupidity? Ned Stark. Ned Stark warns Cersei before he exposes her because he doesn't want children to get hurt. He adheres to the rules even when the rules will kill him. In AKOTSK, Baelor is doing the exact same thing. He knows that supporting Dunk is a political nightmare. He knows that fighting his own brother Maekar and his own nephew Aerion is a PR disaster for House Targaryen. It weakens the dynasty, it makes them look divided. But Baelor does it anyway. Why? Because the central tenet of House Stark is the man who passes the sentence should swing the sword. It means you take personal responsibility for the violence you inflict. You do not outsource your morality. Compare this to the Targaryen mode. Targaryens usually outsource violence to their dragons, or their Kingsguard, or their wildfire. They detach themselves from the humanity of their victims. When Baelor steps into the trial, which we will dissect in detail later, he is physically placing his body between the system and the individual. He is swinging the sword himself. He is taking the blow himself. Even his introduction in the show signals this shift. When the procession arrives at Ashford, notice the dialogue. The heralds are screaming titles. Prince of Dragonstone, Hand of the King. And Baelor? He ignores the heralds. He ignores the cheers and immediately starts managing the family dysfunction.
It's not his fault Father bade us attend this miserable circus.
Might we discuss this another time?
So we go hunting.
Baelor's response is telling. He doesn't engage in the complaint, he engages in the duty. He operates like a man who knows that prince is a job description, not a divine status. To fully grasp the Baelor anomaly, we have to look at the comparative standpoint the user asked us to explore. Let's look at the Targaryens we know from House of the Dragon. Take Daemon Targaryen. Daemon is charisma and chaos. He fights because he loves the fight. He loves the thrill. He wants to be seen. Take Aemond One-Eye. He fights out of resentment and duty to his specific faction, driven by a lifelong grudge. Now look at Baelor in AKOTSK. Does he want to fight? No. In episode 4, when Dunk asks about the Trial of Seven, Baelor explains it with a tone of heavy resignation.
It is another form of trial by combat. Ancient.
He calls it Andal foolery later in the conversation? No, wait, let me correct the record. It is Maekar who would likely scoff at the tradition. Baelor respects the law, even when the law is inconvenient. The central thesis of this essay boils down to this. Westeros is a broken machine. It grinds up good men. We saw it happen to Ned. We saw it happen to Robb. We saw it happen to Jon Snow, who had to be exiled to survive his own nobility. The tragedy of Baelor Breakspear is that he is the only Targaryen who figured out how to fix the machine. He realized that to rule Westeros, you cannot be a dragon. Dragons burn the machine. You have to be a man. You have to be a wolf, loyal to the pack, protective of the weak, grim in the face of duty. But the machine has an immune system, and when a Targaryen tries to be a Stark, the universe corrects the error. We will see how he speaks to Dunk, not as a peasant, but as a peer. We will see how he handles the madness of Aerion, and we will see that Baelor Breakspear isn't just the good Targaryen. He is the king who never was, because he was too good to be king. To prove that Baelor is operating on a completely different moral frequency than his family, we don't need to look at his sword fighting, we need to look at his memory. In episode 2, there is a crucial scene where Dunk is trying to prove his knighthood. He claims he squired for Sir Arlen of Pennytree. To the average Targaryen, Sir Arlen is a nobody, a hedge knight who died in a ditch. Listen to how Prince Maekar, Baelor's brother, reacts when Dunk brings up this name.
Who? What the fuck is going on?
Maekar is dismissive. To him, if a man isn't famous, he doesn't exist. He even doubts Arlen's competence, asking,
How can you possibly remember some fucking hedge knight who chanced to unhorse Daemon Lannister 16 years ago?
This is the standard aristocratic view. Value is determined by renown. But then Baelor speaks, and what he says changes the entire energy of the room. Dunk mentions that Sir Arlen unhorsed the Grey Lion, Daemon Lannister, 16 years ago. Maekar scoffs at this impossibility, but Baelor corrects him. He remembers. He recalls the specific tourney at Storm's End. He recalls that he fought Sir Arlen himself. And crucially, he corrects Dunk on the details, not to shame him, but to honour the truth.
But it was 4 lancers only, I fear.
This tiny interaction tells us everything. Maekar sees a shit knight. Baelor sees a foe worthy of respect. Baelor remembers that Sir Arlen broke 4 lances against him. He remembers that he gave Arlen his horse back without ransom. This is the northern trait of meritocracy. In the north, you are judged by how you swing the sword, not by how much gold is on your hilt. Baelor assesses Dunk not by his lineage, which is non-existent, but by the quality of his teacher. He validates Dunk's existence when his own family tries to erase it. Now, let's jump to episode 4. This provides a masterclass in Baelor's judicial philosophy. Dunk has committed a crime. He kicked a prince of the blood in the mouth. In any other era of Targaryen rule, this is an immediate execution. Aerion certainly thinks so. Aerion demands a trial because he wants to kill Dunk legally. But Baelor is looking for an off-ramp. Baelor interrogates Dunk. He asks, "Do you believe that, Your Grace?" referring to Aerian's claim of treason. Baelor cuts through the politics.
One truth is beyond dispute. You laid hands upon the blood of the dragon, but I cannot deny him a trial.
I cannot deny him. This phrasing is key. It implies that Baelor is subservient to the law. He isn't the source of the law, like Joffrey or Aerys. He is a subject of it. This echoes Stannis Baratheon, but without Stannis's brittleness. Baelor has the warmth that Stannis lacks, but the same rigid adherence to the code. When Dunk is confused by the legal manoeuvring, asking, "What the fuck is a trial of 7?" it is Baelor who acts as the historian. He explains the Andal tradition calmly.
The Andals believed that if 7 champions fought, the gods being thus honoured would be more like to intervene and see the guilty party punished.
He respects the ancient traditions of the land he rules, even when those traditions are inconvenient Andal foolery to his brother. But the most chilling evidence comes from a source we might ignore: Daemon the Drunken. Daemon is Baelor's nephew, a man crushed by the weight of prophecy. In episode 4, he confesses his dream to Dunk.
But I have seen you, sir. And a fire. And a dead dragon, a great beast, with wings so large they could cover this meadow. It had fallen on top of you, but you were alive, and the dragon was dead.
This is the tragedy of House Targaryen. They have the gift of prophecy, but they usually misinterpret it. Daemon thinks the dragon symbolizes him or his father, but we, the audience, knowing the lore, know exactly who that dragon is. It is Baelor. Baelor is the great beast who will fall on Dunk, not to crush him, but to save him. The wings so large they could cover this meadow is a metaphor for Baelor's protection. He covers Dunk with his reputation, his skill, and eventually his life. And this leads us to the moment that cements Baelor as a Stark in dragon's clothing. Dunk is short a champion. The Kingsguard are fighting against him because they are sworn to obey the king's blood, Maekar and Aerion. Dunk stands alone, asking,
"And the no true knight among you!"
And then the voice that breaks it.
I will take the Duncan side.
The reaction from the crowd and his family is disbelief.
This man protected the innocent, as every true knight must.
Baelor's justification is the final nail in the coffin of the Targaryen supremacist ideology. He does not say he is fighting because he likes Dunk. He does not say he is fighting to annoy Maekar. He says, "This man protected the innocent, as every true knight must." There it is, the Stark code. The protection of the innocent is the highest calling, higher than blood, higher than the crown, higher than self-preservation. Baelor Breakspear effectively abdicates his status as a prince in this moment and re-enlists as a knight. He strips away the dragon, the privilege, to reveal the wolf, the protector. And, as we will see in the next section, the universe punishes him for it. If we accept that Baelor Targaryen is an anomaly, we have to ask, what kind of anomaly? He isn't just not crazy. He is operating on a specific moral frequency that feels alien to the Red Keep, but incredibly familiar to us as viewers. To understand Baelor, we have to stop looking at him as a dragon and start looking at him as a wolf. In the A Song of Ice and Fire universe, there are 2 distinct models of leadership, the Valyrian model and the First Men model. The Valyrian model, best exemplified by Daemon Targaryen in House of the Dragon and caricatured by Aerion in AKOTSK, is built on exceptionalism. Daemon believes that Targaryens are closer to gods than men. His morality is performative. He creates chaos to prove he can survive it. He murders, he preens, he takes what he wants. In AKOTSK, Aerion is trying to emulate this. Aerion attacks the puppet show because he believes the dragon is a god that cannot be mocked. It is the Valyrian complex stripped of its charm and left only with its entitlement. Now look at Baelor. Baelor rejects exceptionalism. He embraces service. This is the First Men model. This is the code of House Stark. The belief that the Lord is not the owner of the land, but its protector. that the man who passes the sentence should swing the sword, that winter is coming, so you better stop playing games. Compare Baelor to Ned Stark. In Game of Thrones, Ned Stark discovers the truth about Joffrey's parentage. He has two choices: seize power, the Renly/Littlefinger option, or follow the law, the Stannis option. Ned chooses the law, even though it endangers him. In AKOTSK, Baelor faces the same choice. In Episode 4, Maekar and Aerion demand Dunk's head. Baelor could easily give it to them. It would be politically expedient. It would keep the family united. But Baelor chooses the law. Like Ned Stark, Baelor suffers from the honor trap. He believes that if he follows the rules, the system will protect him. He believes that institutions matter more than individuals. But there is a crucial difference. Ned Stark was naive. Baelor Breakspear is not. In Episode 4, Baelor tells Dunk,
Aerion would like your head for what you did to him. He will not have it.
Baelor knows exactly who his family is. He knows Maekar is bitter. He knows Aerion is a monster. He isn't blind to the game. He just refuses to cheat at it. This brings us to the most direct comparison, Jon Snow. Both Baelor and Jon are dark princes, dark of hair, solemn of face, burdened by a heritage they didn't ask for. Jon Snow's defining trait is that he does the job nobody else wants to do. He goes to the wall. He fights the White Walkers. He kills the woman he loves because duty demands it. Baelor is the proto-Jon. He is the crown prince, the hand of the king. He has everything Jon lacked. Yet he acts like a brother of the Night's Watch. When Baelor steps forward to fight for Dunk in Episode 4, saying, "I will take Sir Duncan's side," he is doing a Jon Snow moment. He is standing alone against a cavalry charge of bad politics because his conscience leaves him no other choice. Finally, we have to look at the man Baelor is most often compared to, Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. Both were beloved princes who died before they could be king. Both were intellectuals. Both were melancholic. But Rhaegar was obsessed with prophecy. He read scrolls and decided he had to change the world to fit a song. He started a war because he thought the universe revolved around his children. Baelor is the anti-Rhaegar. Baelor doesn't care about prophecy. He cares about the present. He cares about a hedge knight who got kicked in the head. Rhaegar looked at the stars. Baelor looks at the mud. In Episode 2, Baelor remembers Sir Arlen, not because Arlen was part of a great prophecy, but because Arlen was a decent man who did his job. He never shamed himself. This is why Baelor feels so different. He is a Targaryen who learned the lesson that most Targaryens never learn. Being a dragon is easy. Being a man is hard. Daemon Targaryen wants to be a god. Aerion Targaryen thinks he is a god. Baelor Targaryen knows he is just a man with a job to do. And in Westeros, the only thing more dangerous than a mad king is a sane one, because a sane king threatens the chaos that the other players use to climb the ladder. Baelor Breakspear is the Stark that the South never deserved. He is the shield that guards the realms of men, disguised in the armor of a conqueror. And as we move into the final act of this tragedy, we have to ask, what happens when the shield breaks? We end this analysis where the show currently leaves us, at the precipice of the Trial of Seven. And it is here, in the final seconds of Episode 4, that Baelor Targaryen cements his status as the greatest anomaly in the history of his house. When Baelor steps forward and says, "I will take Sir Duncan's side," he isn't just balancing the teams.
I'm going to break the wheel.
Long before Daenerys ever thought to mention it. To understand the magnitude of this choice, we have to strip away the romance of knighthood and look at the cold, hard political calculus. Baelor is the crown prince. He is the hand of the king. He is the heir to the Iron Throne. In this moment, he is choosing to fight against his own brother, Maekar. He is fighting against his own nephew, Aerion. He is fighting against the Kingsguard, the very men sworn to protect him. He is risking the stability of the entire realm for one hedge knight. Why? To answer that, we must compare Baelor to the three archetypes of Targaryen leadership we have seen on screen so far: the weak, the mad, and the conqueror. First, let's look at Viserys I from House of the Dragon. Viserys was a good man, but he was a weak king. He wanted peace above all else. He let conflicts fester between Rhaenyra and Alicent, between Daemon and Otto, because he refused to make the hard choice. He prioritized harmony over justice. If Viserys I were in Baelor's boots at Ashford Meadow, he would have compromised. He would have paid Dunk's ransom. He would have apologized to Aerion on Dunk's behalf. He would have smoothed it over to avoid conflict. Baelor does the opposite. He recognizes that peace without justice is rot. He sees that Aerion is a cancer on the family honor, a man who breaks fingers and calls it a lesson. Baelor realizes that to save the soul of House Targaryen, he has to physically fight its body. He chooses conflict because it is the only moral option. Second, compare him to Daenerys Targaryen. Daenerys spent 8 seasons trying to break the wheel, but her method was almost always fire and blood. When the system failed her, she burned it down. She believed her destiny justified the collateral damage. Baelor, by contrast, absorbs the damage himself. In Episode 4, Aerion claims that Dunk's actions are high treason. Aerion believes the system exists to serve him.
The dragon will never lose.
This is the seed of the madness that eventually consumes Daenerys, the belief that the dragon is above the law. Baelor destroys this argument with a single sentence.
This man protected the innocent, as every true knight must.
Daenerys burned King's Landing to liberate it. Baelor is willing to die in the mud to save one man. Daenerys operates on a macro scale, saving millions, killing thousands. Baelor operates on a micro scale, saving one, risking himself. It is the difference between a messiah complex and a moral compass. The only Targaryen who even comes close to Baelor's frequency is Maester Aemon, his own brother in the books, or relative in the show timeline. Aemon chose duty by walking away. He abdicated. He chose the wall. Baelor chooses duty by staying. He engages with the toxicity of his family head-on. In Episode 1, we see him managing the ego of the lords. He knows who Sir Arlen is when his brother Maekar does not. He corrects the record on how many lances were broken. He is detail-oriented, competent, and present. This leads us to our final analytical conclusion. Baelor Breakspear is the control group for the Targaryen experiment. For decades, fans of A Song of Ice and Fire have asked, what if Rhaegar had lived? What if Aemon had been king? What if Viserys had been stronger? Baelor is the answer to those questions. We are seeing exactly what a competent, sane, honourable Targaryen king looks like. He is humble. He acknowledges when he is beaten, remembering Sir Arlen. He is just. He grants a trial even when it is politically inconvenient. He is brave. He fights not for glory, but for principle. And this brings us to the tragedy of his competence. In Game of Thrones, the game is played by people who want power, Cersei, Littlefinger, or people who fear it, Jon, Ned. Baelor is the rare player who has power and uses it to protect the pawn. As we wait for the outcome of this trial of 7, we are forced to confront a terrifying possibility. Westeros is not built for men like Baelor Targaryen. It is built for the Maekars, men who are sulking and resentful. It is built for the Arions, men who think they are dragons in human form. It is built for the Daerons, men who dream of dead dragons and drown their fears in wine. Baelor is the system glitch. He is the discrepancy. He is the Targaryen who remembered that before they were dragon lords, before they were conquerors, they were supposed to be kings. And if the history of Westeros teaches us anything, from the death of Ned Stark to the betrayal of Jon Snow, it is that the system corrects its glitches. Baelor Breakspear has stepped into the arena. He has taken the side of the Hedge Knight. He has defied the narrative of his own house. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. The dragon has finally landed on the side of the coin that matters, and the world is holding its breath.